We're joined now by the athletic director at the U of M. It's Dr. Ed Scott. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, Jim.
How you been?
I've been busy.
I bet you have. Hey, we're 11 days away from the season over. We're talking off the air about heading out to Las Vegas. That's going to be a fun trip. Bennett, my producer, he has been on this Week Zero campaign forever.
Love it.
I don't know if you listen to him, but whatever. You guys are on the same page. He's excited about this, so am I.
I prefer to listen to him over some other people. I'll leave it at that and let you guess who
Dr.
that
Scott.
is.
But, this is a big stage for your football program. 9 o'clock Central kick on Fox in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Well, it's where we should be,
Yeah.
right? I mean, look, we lost a Power 4 game, and we had to replace it. UNLV is picked favorably for this season in their conference, and it's something you and I talked about. When we can't play P4s, we got to play the best of the G6. And so the beauty is having a football coach who says, spot the ball, let's go out and play. The other thing that you and I talked about before we came on air is that we have a large contingent of Memphis folks going out there, and that matters, and it'll have Memphis relevant in Week 0, and I think Bennett is right about that. Anytime that you can get your program talked about in a positive way early on in the season where Memphis is at, I think it's the right thing to do for the program.
You're going to have a big contingent going out to Las Vegas. In scheduling, how much does that play a role in this way? Like, my fans would like to go there. They'll travel to go to that place, so let's schedule a game in that place.
I think it's an add-on.
Okay.
And I would say it like this. If we're going to play somebody that's not a desirable opponent, I'm not only going to go there because of our fans.
Right.
But I've learned some things in living in Memphis for the last couple of years, and our folks like New Orleans. They like Las Vegas. They like certain parts of Florida. So if we can get good competition and make it enticing for the fans at the same time, then for me it's a win-win and it becomes easier.
You look at this schedule, and I know that with the Toledo game being announced in recent weeks, it became a talking point that over 2 years there's no Power 4 opponents on it.
Yeah.
We will get into why that is. It's got nothing to do with Memphis. It's got everything to do with the way the SEC is requiring its teams to schedule.
Yeah.
Big 12, ACC as well. But you look at the schedule, and I know there's not an Arkansas on it or an Ole Miss on it, but these first 3 games are massive because you're playing 2 group of 6 schools that are higher in the AP poll than you.
Correct.
And it's your home opener in the rebuilt Simmons Bank. I mean, this is a big 3-game stretch that if it goes perfectly, we're talking about perhaps you're the favorite to represent the group of 6 in the college football playoff.
Yeah, I think we learned last year we can't be worried about being the favorite or not the favorite. What we got to do is go out and beat the opponent in front of us. Right. The other thing for me, and I've been bullish on this since I've arrived at Memphis, is that we want to play the best, right? You can't say I'm not going to schedule tough this year because we might not be good. Like, what kind of mentality is that? And that's certainly not the city of Memphis's mentality, right? I get taken to task because we don't have P4s, but then if I schedule people that we should just beat, no one comes to games, I get taken to task for that. So my mindset is that I think we can play with anybody in America if we're given the opportunity to do so. And shout out to UNLV for having an opening too, because they got dropped by somebody. And what people aren't paying attention to is I think they're coming back to us in 28, if I'm not mistaken. Right. So this isn't we're just going out to sell our soul to play in Vegas. Right. It's we're playing the best competition that was available on the market at the time. And, oh, yeah, we got that competition to come back home and play us at the crib.
And just like Memphis is a brand, UNLV is a brand.
Of course.
Like that matters. Like from my childhood, it's a massive basketball brand, yes. But it's still like UNLV registers anywhere. Let's drill down on the lack of P4 games for a second, because sure. You say you take some criticism for it, but I think it's entirely unfounded. The truth is you've got a football program that's too good to be scheduled by Power 4 programs. That's where you're at right now. Yeah,
listen, let me address the criticism. I love the criticism because it means I have a job, right? And I want to be honest about that. I think early on in my tenure, I was talking to Terrence in our all-staff meeting before I came to meet with you this morning. I think I'm going into my 9th year as an AD, man. And what you learn is that there's always going to be criticism. So I'm okay with that. But I have to weed through that and be pragmatic in my approach. And if we can get P4s to play us, we'll play them. If I was the athletic director at certain P4s, especially in the geographic area we live in, I would not play Memphis.
That's what I said. This is what I said. If I were Arkansas, respectfully, I wouldn't play you.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's not a win-win for them like it is for us. Right. They're supposed to beat us. right? If they don't, that becomes a problem. We saw that last year. They hired our coach, right? That became a problem for me, okay, number one. Number two, they know it's going to be a dogfight, right? So even if they are better than us or physically have a more dominating team, the way we play football, the approach that we have as a university and a department is not going to be a cakewalk. So you could end up with somebody injured if you're the P4 program. And oh, by the way, if I'm Arkansas, I got to play Georgia. I got to play Florida. I got to play Texas. I got to play Oklahoma. So I think if, when I step back from it and let the emotion of the fans subside a little bit, what I realize is that I think we put together the best possible schedule that was available for any teams that would, one, be willing to play us, and two, had open dates on their schedule.
That's exactly right. Because for people who don't know, the SEC is now requiring 9 league games, and then they want one of your non-league games to be against another P4 opponent. So against a Big 12, ACC, or Big 10 school. Well, in a 12-game regular season, the SEC is now requiring you to play 9 SEC games and another Power 4 team. If you're Arkansas, that's 10 games against real opponents.
Absolutely.
And then if you want to add on Memphis, that you're basically playing 11 Power 4 programs.
Exactly.
They don't want any part of that, and I don't blame them.
Nor would I if I was in Hunter's shoes either, right? And I want to be honest about that. I don't want people to think that we're trying to mask that, right? But at the other side, so here's the scheduling philosophy. Let's be clear to everybody about it. Here's what we've taken on. If we don't have a P4, we want to play the best group of 6 teams we can. I think I saw a graphic somewhere that we have like the 31st hardest schedule in America, and we don't have a P4 team, right? So you can still get to where you want to go. The other thing, and I got to put this out there, and I appreciate Pernetti on this, trying to work with us, we got to flip our conference schedule, right? There's an issue when we have to go to Tulane, South Florida, Navy, all in 1 year. There's 2 issues with that. It's an unbalanced schedule. It puts Memphis at a disadvantage competitively. Financially, it puts me and our department in a very, very difficult position. I'd like to split those games and have 2 tough ones on the road and 2 at home, because it allows us to sell tickets better. It allows us to sell concessions, more butts and seats. So there is a logic and a philosophy behind this. This is not me just waking up in the morning trying to figure out who wants to play football.
And you could talk to him about that. He listens.
He has listened, right? And so we may have to double up 1 year. We may have to forego the matchup with UAB in the Battle of the Bones, but we have to do what's right for Memphis. So I'm willing to do, I live by a saying, if you do what's easy, your life will be hard. If you do what's hard, your life will be easy. I'll take the hard road for 1 year, knowing that I'll put the university, our football program, and the department in a better position.
Obviously, you got a new coach. You've got I heard you got roughly 70 new players. Do you have a sense for what to expect?
I expect that we're going to play hard. I expect that we're going to play discipline, and I expect consistency, because that's what Huff has done wherever he's been. I also expect that Huff's not going to take a back seat to anybody. If you've seen who I've hired and the way I've hired, they've been people that have won at a high clip. A lot of them, like Huff, have been at least an assistant on a P4 level. So there's not going to be anything that happens in that stadium or in that game that will surprise Charles Huff. And that gives me some calm as the athletic director. And I think Huff is right. We have 70 new people. So until that first drive, I'm not going to know what to expect. But I know the guys are excited, and I know they're prepared.
Do you have a sense for what Simmons Bank looks like? It's got, like, my family's going to be there for the home opener. I can't wait.
Better be.
100%.
$7 meals for you. We better talk about that too. If not, I'll get you.
Hey, I got $28 for you. I promise.
My man.
Okay, so we're going to be there. Can't wait. Yep. Excited. I just want to see the place and just enjoy the day. How much does a win in week 0 matter to attendance for Arkansas State?
Okay, Gary, you're going to ask me these rhetorical questions, man. I just saw Chris in the lobby, by the way. We talked about our relationship and his hole-in-one, too. I've addressed all that.
Oh, he's talked about that hole-in-one with everybody.
And he should. He earned that.
He did earn it.
Now, he had to go to Milwaukee to get it, right, is what he told me. But my point about poking at you is this. You know the answer to that question. It means everything.
Yeah.
Look, one of the issues that I have with Memphis is the wait-and-see approach.
Right.
And I said this when I did my press conference. There was going to be a time where I asked Memphis to stand up. That time is now.
Yeah.
We need you regardless of the outcome of UNLV, because it's the man's first game with a brand new team. We have all the right pieces in place. He's got the ingredients to cook the dinner. I'm asking people to come out and share in the dinner with us. So on September 5th, we need Memphis to stand up. We need you to come out. We need you to be loud. The other thing I need folks to understand, it's not all about the people in the tower. That's why the $7 meal is important. The mega ribbon board, if you're sitting on the east side, you have one of the best TVs to watch a football game on for replays and live action that you'll ever see in this country. So every fan is going to get an upgraded experience, and that's what Memphis deserves. The mayor got his first tour yesterday, and he was absolutely blown away.
I can't wait to see it up close. And the $7 meal thing, that's a real thing. I mean, you pay attention, and a big topic of conversation throughout this country right now is the cost of just anything.
Absolutely.
And I said this when you guys were sort of cementing this plan.
Yeah.
I can't go see the Odyssey at Malco and eat for $7.
No way.
So the idea that you don't have a reason not to go. The tickets are affordable. You're not going to spend like crazy to eat. If you want to go support your hometown university, it's right there, and it's doable.
Listen, when I came to Memphis, I told people I was attracted to Memphis because I could see me in Memphis. I grew up with a single mom. She's never made more than $18,000 a year. She could not afford to take me to an old Memphis football game. So what I wanted was, and our partner, Sodexo Live, has been absolutely amazing in this, because everyone, when we went out to bid, I told them I need a value meal. What I wanted is, if you have a family of 5, you should be able to feed them for $35. And then you can buy tickets. So for under $100, you can come to our game on a Saturday. Gary, you can't take your family out to eat in Memphis, and we got some affordable, really good food in Memphis, but you can't take them out for 4 people for less than $100.
No.
So now here's what happens, because I know you got a little guy. He goes, hey, Dad, let's go back to the Tigers game. And you're going, well, look, it's cheaper, and I get to watch sports. So what I've tried to do, what we have tried to do as a team, is create an environment where everyone in Memphis can be part of it. And when I got here, that just wasn't the case. So part of it was my own experience, right? My mom would have said, we joke about this, me and Tim Duncan. My mom would have said, you need to eat before you go to the game. You're going to get 1 bottle of water, and you got to make it last the whole game. And if she could get off work to take me to a game. And so what I'm trying to do for our city is eliminate excuses and reduce barriers to entry for Memphians to be able to come and support their Tigers.
Because that's a real thing, and it can get lost on people sometimes. Like the idea that, you live out in the suburbs and you got your nice house, and it's like, of course I can go to a Tiger football game, but everybody can't, or at least couldn't. Like, that's a real financial obstacle for folks, and I really appreciate you, addressing that and try to make an entry point for everybody.
Can I share a story with
Please.
you? And so my wife and I, we started walking either in the mornings or the evenings, and I tell you, if you don't do it, anyone listening, it's like couples therapy, right? Because we have no phones, and we're forced to talk about stuff we probably normally wouldn't talk about. So I've learned a lot about what I don't do well and where I can improve on these walks in the morning. And so my wife and daughter were out of town, and I was taking a walk one day, and a gentleman who delivers FedEx packages in our neighborhood, comes up to me in the FedEx truck, stops, pulls over, says, Dr. Scott, do you have a minute? And I kind of look around like, you got me cornered, buddy. Yes, I can't go anywhere.
Got nowhere to go.
Right? Otherwise, I'm lying to you. And so he says to me, hey, man, really proud of the job you're doing. Love the way you represent our city. I want to see basketball improve, right? Football needs to stay on the same trajectory. I'm a season ticket holder. And I said to the guy, I said, man, thank you, right? I really appreciate your support. Thanks for your feedback. Thought I was going to get on my walk. And he pauses me and goes, do you know how many packages I have to deliver out of this truck to pay for those tickets? And it punched me in the gut, right? You're right. I live in a nice neighborhood. I have done things in my life that I have never imagined because of my ability to be a college athlete, play a sport, and get an education. And we have a lot of people in this city that have to deliver a certain number of packages or work a certain number of hours. And then he peeled off, and I hope I don't get him in trouble with FedEx. My next thought was, damn, I hope I don't got any packages in the back of that truck, right? But I see the guy all the time, and every time I see him in my neighborhood,
you'll never not remember that.
I tell him thank you because it was a reminder to me of what's really important to the everyday citizen in the city of Memphis.
Yeah, because you can lose track of that. I mean, you grew up a certain way, and I grew up a certain way as well.
Correct.
And then, some good things happen, and you can be like, oh yeah, whatever. But like, it can be hard it's hard out there.
Well, it's a reminder that we represent more people than we think about or see on a daily basis. And anytime I can get those reminders in my role, and when someone does it respectfully like that, it makes me want to bust my ass harder for the city and for the people who spend their money on our sporting events.
So the Protect College Sports Act has been a big topic of conversation over the past couple of months. How, if at all, does it change your approach to your job? The idea of it, obviously, it's not official yet.
Well, let's dissect it in two parts.
Okay.
Let's dissect it for what it's worth, in my humble opinion, nationally, and then how it impacts Memphis. First, on the national scene, I think where we really need some help, right, as an industry is in one-time transfers and eligibility clocks. If we could get those two things, I think athletic administrators are smart enough to figure out some of the other details. Because if this unlimited transfer piece is a nightmare for everybody.
Well, let me just stop you there because
Please.
I talk to coaches all the time about this, and one of the things they say is, if you're tired of hearing about a $25 million roster or $35 million roster, it's the transfers that create the bidding wars.
100%.
If there's nowhere for you to go, or like if you can make yourself a free agent after every single year, that's how a $1 million player becomes a $3 million player, and that's how you end up spending $15 million on a roster instead of $8 million.
So think about this, right? And you and I, we talk enough, and I know Chris is listening, so he's going to get upset. But Chris, we talk too. I like you, Chris, and I'll talk to you like we just did about golf, so he doesn't get you later. But my point about this is everything in life is transferable. Yeah. There's a thing called salary progression in corporate industry, right? The longer someone stays in a job and you hire someone else in new, they normally come in at a higher salary. Yes. But yet when we talk about college athletics, we forget that. Look, I don't think Dr. Hargrave wants to renegotiate with Ed Scott every year. I would welcome that opportunity based on how we perform year over year, right? And so it's the exact same principle. Right. So that's one part of it. The other part, so that's the one-time transfer or limiting the number of years a person can transfer outside of extraordinary circumstances. Sure. I think the second piece becomes when a clock starts and how long eligibility is. Because the other thing we're doing is taking away opportunities from young people, right? If you bring back someone on your roster and the NCAA says you still have a roster of 15 limit in basketball, somebody's got to come off that roster, right? And it's usually going to be somebody young who's going to lose an opportunity. So those things matter nationally. I think if we can get some help on those through whatever mechanisms, and I think the Protect College Sports Act is the best we've seen to date, I think we'll be in a better place. How it impacts Memphis, I think John Martin was right, that if the original bill went through the way it did and people had to sit in purgatory for 5 years as an independent, that would be a nightmare. Yes. This new amendment that came in that gives 180 days, basically 6 months where people can move, I think really helps Memphis, because everything that I told you I was going to do before I became the AD, I have done. We're at full rev share. We've renovated the stadium that's going to be open on time. So we've cleaned up a lot of our NCAA issues. Our academics are at an all-time high. We have the right coaches in the portfolio. So if there is movement now and the plates shift, I feel really good about where we sit and who is in our bubble with some schools like a South Florida, Boise, and some others. Not to not name certain schools or name certain ones, but just to give you an idea, I like the company we're in right now.
And let me make sure people understand what we're talking about.
Please.
There's an amendment to the bill that, if it passes, more or less says if you're going to move at the Power 4 level, you need to go in the next 6 months.
Correct.
In theory, and this is just in theory, but in theory, if you're a Florida State or a Miami and you've had your eyes on something bigger, SEC, Big Ten, and you're thinking about going in 2030 or whenever, you might need to go in 2027. Correct. And if the theory is when the ACC loses some people, they might need to replace them with a school like Memphis, this speeds up your clock a little bit.
Well, and the way we've performed, right? In football, we're 3-1 against the P4 since I've arrived, and the one we lost was after we lost Coach Silverfield. We went down and we didn't have our starters against NC State. No excuse. They beat us fair and square. So, and Penny's record is impeccable against the Power 5, even with our disappointing year last year. So, again, what I've been trying to tell people since the day I got this offer was my job is to position us. I don't control all of those other variables, but the stadium, the finances, the coaches, right, those kind of things, I think we have really good control on, and I think we're positioned extremely well if the College Protect Sports Act goes through with this amendment. And so we'll be ready if and when it does.
And I think very publicly you guys have been making moves and positioning yourself for something something for a while. Yeah. The Big 12 being that, and I think
we talked about that.
Yeah, and I was at the Big 12 spring meetings back earlier.
I'd love to hear more about that. Tell me about that, Gary. How did that go for you? Because you asked all the darn questions. Well, I got a question for you. Were you surprised? What was the feeling that you left with when you had those conversations?
Not everybody in the Big 12 was for passing Mountain Memphis.
Yeah.
I talked to Big 12 athletic directors who told me in confidence, but
not asking you to break.
Of course, but we messed up. We should have taken Memphis.
See, and I'm asking genuinely because you'll get that information in a way that I won't because of who you are and who I am.
Here is the thing that I have forever emphasized to anybody who asks in a position of power in college athletics. I say the things you guys miss, and I've said this to conference commissioners.
Please.
I said the things you guys, the thing you don't understand is that, yes, Houston is a bigger market.
Yep.
And South Florida is in Florida. I got all
Correct.
that. Those places do not matter where they're at. Like Memphis matters where it's at.
Correct.
Houston doesn't matter in Houston the way Memphis matters. There is not a Houston sports talk station on the University of Houston campus today.
Correct.
Right? That's not happening.
And it's no knock on Houston.
No,
it's just how passionate the people are about their school and their program.
The thing I've told everybody who will listen, including Big 12 people in those meetings, was if you ever just called Memphis a Big 12 school. Yeah. If you just said, you're in the Big 12 now.
Changes everything.
It would look like a Big 12 school. It would perform like a Big 12 school. The crowds would look like Big 12 crowds. All you got to do is just allow them to be a part of it, and they look the part immediately, and you guys have never been able to appreciate that. You've never understood how much Memphis matters in Memphis.
I really appreciate that, though, and I was asking genuinely because I've heard some comments, that you made on air about it, but to be there, to get that feeling, it's different, right? Because you know what we went through to try to have that conversation, and then to be there in the aftermath, you got, and you see some of the deals that have been done, and you know what we were looking to put on the table, you start going, wow, Memphis really brought something to the table that most other people could never put together. Yeah. That's the other thing that really matters.
Well, that's the thing. I had athletic directors and just people who work in the league office who were like, we did what we did, but it was not 100% across the board we should pass on Memphis. Honestly, as long as we're just talking here,
sure.
I think at this point, I don't know that you've got a university problem as much as you have another stuff problem. Like, you got to get people comfortable with the city. I mean, that's really that's the sense I get.
I was
and correct me if I'm wrong, but the sense I get is that we want to be comfortable with Memphis, not the University of Memphis.
So I'm going to be really vulnerable with you, right? I was with our staff I met with our entire staff, our entire department. We do it twice a year. And I was telling my wife, I had a tough day yesterday, and I was sitting on the porch with my wife, and I said, man, there are some days I'm trying to do some things in the city for a city that I've adopted, and it's hard. Yeah. And my wife looked at me and she goes, but that's why we're here. And she goes, today was a hard day. What are you going to do tomorrow? And that's how I look at Memphis, right? Yeah, we have some hard days and there's some rumors we have to dispel. But to your point, if you come to Memphis, if you see Memphis, you spend time in Memphis, you leave a different person because Memphis has a positive impact on you. And I think that is the message. Look, that's part of the reason I brought the mayor to the stadium yesterday. Have you seen the stadium yet? No, I haven't. You need to get up here and see it. To Paul's credit, he was there within 5 days. He brought a crew of people with him, and when he left, he said, I'm blown away. I didn't think we could do something like this. Wow. So part of what my job is, and it wasn't in my darn job description when I signed the deal at the university, was I have a platform to show off the city because we're the window to the soul of Memphis in a lot of ways. And whether I like it or not, that's part of what I got to do. And so as long as I'm the AD, I'm going to bust my butt doing it.
In many ways, when people think of Memphis, obviously Elvis, but then the University of Memphis is going to be right there. Yeah. And I've told this story a bunch, and it's one of the things I'm excited about this new remade stadium is just it's more appropriately sized. Yeah. Because I would get texts from my coworkers at CBS Sports when the American had
empty,
and it would look empty, and they would say, I would get a text from like a host. They'd say, GP, we got the Memphis game tonight when the American had a CBS deal, and it'd be like, yo, I thought they were good, but why is nobody there? And I'm like, there's 33,000 people there. That's great for a group of 5 school at the time, but it didn't look like that. And so like some of this is just the visuals, and and in some level it is your job to create awesome visuals for Memphis.
It is part of my job, right? And you can't deny it. I think the other thing is, losing Fred Smith.
Yes.
He was a great partner for me. There's been some really good folks. The Hyde family has been awesome. The rest of the Smith family, Marvin Ellison, the CEO of Lowe's, who's a Memphis person, a Memphian, has been a phenomenal mentor. So I think what I'm trying to say to you is this. We used to have Fred leading the way, and now instead of having the one oracle, as I like to call him, it's going to take a whole village of us. It's going to take Ed Scott. It's going to take Bill Hargrave, Richard Smith, Cannon Smith, Pitt Hyde, Marvin Ellison, because all of us know how impressive this city is. And once we get people in here to see it, like I told you, they leave differently. So I'm confident that with the coaches we have in Charles Huff, Penny Hardaway, Hannah Hayden, who's my dark horse that people aren't talking enough about, that young lady is tough. She's Memphis tough, rat corner tough. I think we're going to be able to position this city again through the window that we have for the rest of the world to see the soul of Memphis and how beautiful it really is.
Let's talk Memphis basketball. I had Tony Madlock, Julius Stepford in here. They were terrific. It's great that first, just what's it like to have Tony? First, how do you go back approaching him to come back to Memphis?
Well, so Kathy's not here, right? My in-house counsel and my NCAA person, so I don't want to get in trouble for tampering with coaches. But let me tell you about Tony Madlock. He probably came to at least 4 or 5 football games last year, and this is home and away.
Okay.
Right? And so I'm on the sideline talking to Tony Madlock about Memphis basketball. He's locked in on football games. And I remember one game we were playing somebody, and I think it might have been the Arkansas game, if I'm not mistaken. I could have it wrong, but we were in a dogfight, and somebody said something, and I said, the Navy, the Navy pilots, the Top Gun pilots have a saying, right? When the planes are equal, it comes down to the man in the box.
There you go.
And I said to Madlock, I said, what do you think's going to happen right now? He said, it's coach against coach. Everything's equal. Whoever wins this mentally is going to win this battle. And I thought to myself, man, I like the way he thinks. And so then I started working on him, right? Penny said to me, look, man, it'd be really good to have someone like Madlock around. So I started saying, hey, Madlock, what we got to do to get you back to Memphis, man? Man, you crazy. Nah, I'm serious. What we got to do? And so Tony has just been a good sounding board for me because he's been here before. He bleeds Memphis blue. And he's been a head coach that has won.
He took a program to its first ever NCAA tournament.
And won a game in the first 4, right? And so that matters. And then the trust that Penny has with him to run certain parts of the program so Penny can be a CEO, which I am so proud of Penny. He's done a phenomenal job stepping up in the ways that he said he was going to this year. So bringing Tony back, it just has so many benefits. Some we can discuss, and I think some that we'll find as the season goes on that we're not even thinking about.
You obviously play a role in football scheduling.
I do.
How much of a role do you play, if at all, in men's basketball scheduling? Because that's daunting.
It's a gauntlet. Yeah. I play less of a role.
Okay.
I think I've only scheduled a couple football games since I've been here because the schedule's built so far out.
Sure.
So some of the games we lost and some holes we had to fill in the schedule. I always consult our football coaches on that because the wins and losses go next to Huff's name as well as mine, but more so his.
Sure.
And then with basketball, my approach has always been for the coach to propose a schedule to us and then really sit down and talk about the positives and negatives with it. At Memphis, everyone should understand, because we've been getting beat up about our schedule, at Memphis, you should have 2 ways to make the NCAA tournament. You should be able to make it as an at-large, or you should win the American Conference tournament and be able to get in. If we schedule different, we are selling Memphis short. So when I hear people say, well, it's not the same old Memphis and the money has changed, they're right about that. But this team we have this year is really good. We have a lot of specialists. We don't just have general basketball players, and we have a deep team. So if we stay healthy, I think if we can come out of that non-conference schedule at least 500 and do what we're supposed to do in the American, that sets us up like my first year, where you're looking at a 6-7 seed as an at-large.
And that's, I've tried to talk to people about it when the schedule was released. I was like, I know people you're going to have to recalibrate what is success, because 500 against that non-league schedule That's good.
Right.
That's good.
But here's the thing. If we don't play that schedule and you don't got Louisville coming in at home, people don't show up to the games and they say you don't schedule tough enough. Right. And I'm saying this so every Memphian can hear me. You can't have it both ways in life. Right. I tell my 7-year-old daughter that. You got to pick a side and you got to stick with it. So either schedule's too tough, right, and you're going to come watch us play Louisville and we're going to have to and beat those teams or be in those games to make it competitive where you want to stay, or we schedule people that we know we can beat and you don't come out anyway. Right. So the city can tell me which way they want it, but I'm going to hold everybody accountable once they tell me that. And right now, my feeling is let's play the best competition we can. Let's put the best product on the floor and give ourselves the best chance of making the tournament.
Yeah, like, listen, I know, things have changed, but, like, Memphis and Louisville is still a thing that matters. And you worked on that campus. I mean, you know what Louisville basketball means. I grew up with the Memphis-Louisville rivalry. Things have changed. A lot of years have passed, but I look forward to just walking into a Memphis's home arena and seeing the Louisville uniform and a Memphis uniform on a basketball court.
But it matters to Louisville.
Yes.
There's a reason why it's a 6-year deal, right? There's a reason why Texas plays us in a home and home and Baylor and Vanderbilt. Yes. See, that's what I'm trying to get not only Memphians, but the whole country to understand. We're in this weird space in the new college athletics where nobody's going to pay us to play them. Right. So that means that we got to pay everybody we want to play. Right. That we can't do that financially. And number two, the best schools in the country still know how good our brand is, right? And so if Louisville wants to play us, Texas, Baylor, Vanderbilt, let's play ball. Right. That's what I came to Memphis to do. I didn't come to Memphis to duck people. Last year, we weren't good enough as we should have been. Penny's owned that. I've owned that. And we've told everyone what the corrective steps are to get better. We've done those things. We went out and raised more money, have a much more expensive roster, which is all the requirements we need to do to be better. And so now the expectation is we should be better on that court for everyone to watch.
I talked to Tony. He seemed excited about it, on air, off air. I mean, this is a big year.
It is.
Football program, first-year coach. Basketball program in an obviously big year for reasons that have been discussed, and then with the possible conference realignment on the horizon, like this is you're guiding this thing in what is a crucial time.
Look, I told the staff what I was going to tell you because you always get back to that point, right? And what I told the staff I was going to tell you is this. Every time I tell you the same thing, GP, I am grateful and honored to be the athletic director at the University of Memphis. I know how many people I had to beat out for this job. Right. I know how bad I wanted this job. And I know if my day ever comes and I'm not the AD at Memphis, how many people already got their resume sharpened to get the job. So pressure is a privilege. It's a privilege because I'm in the position to guide us. Is it hard? Absolutely. Am I willing to do hard? Absolutely. Does Memphis need it? Absolutely. So when I'm at a place as a man now, and you and I have talked about our families and those kind of things. Chris, don't get mad. I'll talk to you about your family too. But I'm at a place as a man where I know who I am. I know what's important to me. And I have a chance to do something really cool for university and city that even some of my colleagues at bigger programs don't get to make the same impact. And so I take that pressure as a compliment, and I'm never going to run away from it. As long as Memphis gives me the opportunity to lead it, I'm going to be grateful for it.
Well, speaking on behalf of a couple alums here, just let me tell you, we appreciate you being here.
I appreciate you guys.
We're excited about everything. 11 days away from the season opener at UNLV, and then we'll be back here for the home opener at Simmons Bank. It's a fun time to be a University of Memphis alum, man. Thank you for making this good.
Well, look, two things. One, you said you would come back again after last year. I'm glad we switched to where we did it because hopefully it'll bring us better luck. And two, Bennett, thank you for understanding week 0. And if you get out to Vegas, man, I got some tickets for you, and I'll make sure that you're taken care of if you want to watch that game.
Appreciate it.
Because you understand how important that is. Oh, last thing I got for you. Costco is selling tickets, $99. This is my shameless plug.
No, please.
$99, 2 tickets, lower bowl, and you get a $30 food voucher. I obviously don't need tickets. I was shopping at Costco the other day because my wife had me on her honey-do list.
There you go.
And my daughter and I bought some, and so we're going to find a cool way to auction them off to some fans, like a trivia. You won't have to pay for them, and on the athletic director, you'll have 2 tickets and a food voucher to a lower bowl game at the newly renovated Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium.
So that's at Costco, $99. People can get those right now.
Yes, go get them. Go get them now. And as always, GP, go Tigers, go, baby.
Go Tigers, go. You're the best. We appreciate you.